Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I am going to call this the Empire. And the reason why I have my video even geared towards some of my belongings is because I want you to understand the type of difficulty I'm having to the fact that I can barely breathe. Okay, barely breathe. This is just some of my things, like some when I say like I have things just stocked up, like, and this is like not even, I'm sorry, this is just a mess. Like everything is a mess. And when I say that there are things everywhere, there are things everywhere, and I mean everywhere. Okay, like everywhere. And I want you to understand why this video is being made. There's like jewelry, like give me 1 second. I'm going to make you understand why hasad exists. Moreover, I want you to... This is not the reason why I'm making a video to explain hasad or these things. This is... Hold on. Let's go back, so I can have a seat before I, like, pass out. If I, like, freaking pass out. Okay. So, I want you to understand what's going on in my life right now. And I'm just going to place the camera here. All right. So, I have this room. Then I've occupied the living room when I moved back in. And the living room has just nothing but boxes and boxes and boxes. When I say like half of the whole entire living room is filled up, yeah, that's that. And then I also have a second floor, what's it called, in the house with the wardrobe. I have a third floor with an attic and everything like completely filled, half with my things. And then I also have a storage filled with my things. And astaghfirullah when I tell you this, you know, and it's not like me, like, initially having been, like, quote unquote materialistic ever, or what is it called, inclined towards possessions because I made myself that way. Not at all. It was because my mother, peace be upon her, was like that as well. She came from a pretty well-off family, and a very well-off family, but she lived, how do I say this? She lived very normally. Like, when I say this, her only habit that came from the well-off type of, you can say, very well-off family is her habit of, shopping. As a woman, as money. I think there are other things that the reason why she had taken to shopping. I think sometimes women get very emotional and they utilize that as a strategy. And because of her shopping habits, it came on to me. Okay. And it was just something natural. I never thought anything bad about it. I just thought, okay, well, this is just the way that I grew up. Like, I grew up as a girl, as a woman, to, take to shopping. And, I had everything. When I say this, like, everything that is even designer that you would buy for like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 are made in like my motherland, So, I mean, I have the things that people buy for like, hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars, but they cost at not hundreds of thousands of dollars for me, but they cost at, what's it called, sufficient cost for me. So I pretty much had, when I say I have a wardrobe to kill for, like, astaghfirullah, when I say this, anything that you will see from probably beginning of time till the end of time is what I would have. Like, I can just put those pieces together and make that ensemble, is what I mean to say. So I never needed to buy, I stopped buying after a certain time because I was like, I never needed to buy, at least American clothes is what I mean. I never needed to buy any more American clothes anymore because I looked at everything and I was like, oh, I have a top like that. I completely forgot I even had it. I'm like, I have a top like that. Wait a minute. I also have, a skirt like that, like a full skirt, or I have like, jeans like that, or pants like that, or whatever. Like, this is coming from all these years of, I'm just gonna straight up say the word, like, hoarding. That's what it is. Like, when you look back at your life and you reflect at everything that you have, as Carline would have called it, stuff, right? Just stuff and stuff and stuff. Whether it was my ex, whom was just like the same way as me, like he was like that too. He had so much clothes he didn't even know. Like he had more clothes than I've ever seen well, he didn't have as much clothes as I did, but in the sense that for a man, he had a lot of freaking clothes, and I look at my brothers and I look at like my dad and I look at, my mom and I look at me and I'm like, we're all just very, we're all just people who have a lot of stuff. And I look at it and I'm like, me out of everybody, I'm like, whoa, I thought my mom had an incredible amount of things. I don't think so. I think I superseded my mom. Astaghfirullah. And I look back at it now and I was literally having like heart problems, like breathing and like feeling anxiety and overwhelmingness when I just started to touch, base on like one room. And because I do this pretty much every year or like every 2 years. I pretty much go into my wardrobe when I take everything out and like I'll donate like 20 bags of clothing, 22 bags of clothing. I've done it before, and I just realized I think I haven't noticed in the past like 3 years as to how much clothes, or how much jewelry, how many things, purses, you name it, like, even top of the line name brand that I've accumulated, and I barely have space in this house for me to like, live in, and let alone for me to have these things. And I'm like, here I was all along thinking it was normal, just because this is the way that, my parents, had raised me, or like I said, my mother had raised me. And I was thinking, all this was like practically normal. And here I am holding my head now, and because I'm trying to get rid of like majority of my stuff. When I say that, I just want to get rid of majority of my stuff, because when I die, I'm just going to take not even my bones, bro. I'm not going to take nothing with me. But it doesn't mean that, okay, like to live suppressed or anything, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't say, put your hands up and give everything away. You understand? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also didn't say, put your hands in the pocket and say you have nothing. But I definitely just want to take out as many things as I can and just give and give and give and give until I'm at peace, until like I'm at peace and definitely have a nicer, simplistic wardrobe. Like I just want to have like, a very beautiful ensemble of like, if I could even have, 3 or 4 pieces of clothing, like out of the like tens and thousands and hundreds, 100,000 or even more or less, was it called, of clothes and jewelry, like, and all the things that I have. If I could just have 3 or 4 pieces of clothing, like very nice, exquisite silk ensembles from head to toe, which I will design myself or I'll have it designed or whatever, then I would be living happy, like, like not just like a monk, but like a very, exquisite monk. But yeah, I mean, but that's not the point where I'm telling you all these things. The reason why I had to broadcast was because I was like, yo, I'm going to call this empire. You understand? It's not a challenge, but this is the truth when I say that no freaking YouTuber, okay, not even of the likes could, you could say the top YouTubers of ever could have accumulated the amount of possessions I have, or even if it was to be of the royal family, they can buy, pretty much a nation or so, or maybe 2 or 3, But I don't think that they would even want to accumulate that type of things, because they're probably just like everybody else who's stuck on trends, and they'll pay, what's it called, 1,000, 2,000, tens of thousands of dollars for things that, they wouldn't even use their logic for, to understand that, that's not really the cost of this, but you're paying for it because you're squandering your money. That's the word, squandering. So if I'm going to call my things as, to really just look at it and say, this is hoard. This was hoarding without even realizing it. I'm going to say, well, those people, I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying majority who do follow trends and pay for more than what it's technically worth, plus the shipping and the labor and the little bit of profit that they, of course, do deserve as a merchant. Not a little bit, even moderate, or even a little bit above moderate, but not like I said the other day of an example, like selling something which is costing 8 cents to make for like 599, or like that type of markup. You understand? 8 cents to 599. That's a huge difference. You understand? So in that sense, I'm saying, people like that are out there. They're following trends, and they are like squandering their wealth. And every footstep I am walking, I'm just thinking, had I not accumulated all these things, I wouldn't literally have the pain of walking, and packing these things. I had a PA before, but gone are the days when I'm literally working in that type of, was it called corporate, or not even corporate, but even, entertainment or whatever atmosphere that I was in, where I had a PA who would have been able to help me out with all of these things. But in the sense that, now that I'm on my own and I'm really learning about, the way of life, and I'm doing everything on my own, because this is the way to live. This is what, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was told to have taught, what Isa Alayhi Salam was told to have taught, what Musa Alayhi Salam was told to have taught. I don't want to be 40 and gain the knowledge then. I don't want to be like, I wish I was freaking, by birth, I had this like injected into me with the way of life literally written on, my bare hands. Like, okay, like with an understanding of it. So not just like, oh, don't hoard. No, but for me, I wish I really had pondered myself to think about these things, like, okay, don't hoard, don't squander wealth, don't be cheap either, like live moderately. You understand? So don't be on either opposite sides. You have to be like in normalcy. And, there are many people, like, I guess, who would, of course, point a finger at me and be like, oh, you were hoarding the wealth, blah, blah, blah. Please shut the hell up. You're a freaking hypocrite too. Because there are some of you out there that are, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would state it openly, a lot of you are, like what is the word? A lot of you are, you only think, okay. Maybe it's not supposed to come on my mouth for me to go ahead and be egotistical and bash out in the same manner. But he uses a word he uses the word stingy. Thank you for the inspiration, God. He uses the word stingy. A lot of you are stingy out there. Very, very stingy. You don't want to give charity. Okay? You don't want to give it from every portion of your wealth that you have. Like I said, I have the story of an individual who didn't even want to give, who was literally freaking out to pay 25 cents. Astaghfirullah. That's the lowest of the stingiest individuals I have ever seen in the planet. I've seen people walk around with giving out $1, into those bucket things when we're in the city, and I've given it too. But the whole point is, we're supposed to be giving it out of every portion of profit that we have, and be striving with our lives. Like, had I been thinking all along logically, today I wouldn't have had to what I really think is due the hardship of, like literally unboxing everything. And, these are things I don't even like doing. Like I said, I never liked doing the labor part ever. I never even liked to write things. That's why I had hired a PA to go ahead and, write my stuff for me. I like to do the logical, thinking aspect, but here I am and I'm getting, what's the word for it? I'm getting booked down. I'm breaking it down. I'm breaking it down and I'm doing everything on my own. And I'm like, man, oh man, like astaghfirullah, Mariah Carey, you are I'm going to call you straight up bimbo. You are a bimbo. And I would have been a brunette bimbo if that's the case. But every step I take, I'm just thinking to myself, had I put aside a portion of that money to the side, then somebody, one person in this planet, may have not been sleeping hungry. That's the whole purpose of this broadcast, to think, if I had just put aside a portion of the money that I was spending on a top, I was spending on a whatever, and I was a lot smarter to have a system from the very beginning to be implemented, the way even in my wardrobe, which I had a virtual wardrobe, but I think at some point I just lost control and I just started to buy, for the fun of it, for entertainment, for pleasure. It was just an entertainment to purchase, to buy for pleasure. I wasn't thinking about what I had, what I didn't have, and I lost control. And even the virtual, wardrobe that I had at that point made no difference. It wouldn't make a difference. And it's just like so freaking sad. Like, it's just so sad. Like, when I tell you this, it is so sad. Like, I'm walking every step. I'm repeating this. I'm walking every freaking step. And I'm thinking to myself, everything that I had ever purchased, I wish I would have, put aside a portion of that for sorry, I feel like I'm gonna cry. On the side, for somebody to have, have a meal or food. I wish I could have been able to do my part in feeding, every single time I went out to decide to, buy, something for myself, because who knows, you understand? All the people that you love, maybe somebody else out there, actually, maybe all the people that you love, probably, what if there's somebody out there that would appreciate you more than all the people that you love put together that don't love you probably even like that, who wouldn't even do that? Who knows who is more near to your kin? You understand? Because nobody, like I said, you don't know who will be more near or dear to you. And I cry because I have too much of things that I never needed in my life. That's why I cry. And I cry because the things that I do need in my life are the things that I never focused and paid attention to. Number one, the very first thing being the fact that, I think about it now and I'm like, subhanallah, subhanallah. I'm like, subhanallah, astaghfirullah for the people who are stingy and they're saving up their wealth in their accounts and they're, continuously saving and saving and saving and saving and saving. And they don't think about the charity. They don't think about the charity even through their speech or their actions. How rude people are and how stingy people are in their manner, in their thoughts, in their hearts. You understand? In their hearts. That, of course, indeed, they will put themselves before, but they won't think to be good or to be kind to somebody else. And that is also a form of charity. That is also a form of charity. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, I have seen it all. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. And there's a alhamdulillah for this. Alhamdulillah. I like the hardship that I'm going through because it's making me think about a lot of the people that I could have helped back in the days, even as a child. I'm talking about when I was a child growing up. I'm 28 now. People, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't even really get their maturity until they're 40. I'm 28 now, and I'm thinking, there are even kids younger than my age who are collecting, like, cans of soup. I saw an incredible article online. I saw, subhanAllah, for the kid. Subhanallah, shukr, alhamdulillah, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving them hidayat at that age. Shukr, alhamdulillah. And I'm thinking to myself, I wish I was, growing up and I had this, that my mother didn't get a chance to teach me. She was always also giving charity as well, but she was always giving charity. Alhamdulillah, she was always, always doing her part. But at the same time, I feel terrible because she was also going excessively. Even though it might have been an emotional move for her. Everybody has their own issues, and I won't express anyone else as a human being. I'm going to keep everybody's issues guarded because everybody has them. And I just wish my mother would have not been as excessive and a little bit more, just a little bit more like in between. I had somebody in my life who was also a mother, who was not a part of my family, and who was so astaghfirullah, no names, no characteristics, no titles, because then that would definitely be slandering somebody, but just a story to narrate to. I had someone whom was an individual who was so stingy that they had all this accumulated money in the bank that they would always save, and when it was time for them to need something to get it, you understand, like a broken stove, whom you utilize a stove every single day of your life, they wouldn't want to buy it. Like, or broken pair of glasses, they wouldn't want to buy it. Astaghfirullah, you don't want to be, like I said, you don't want to be either or. You don't want to do excess. You don't want to be under, like you don't want to be under, like, completely, like, put your hands in your pocket, and you don't want to put your hands up. It's just, I've seen it all, and alhamdulillah, I say, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And I think to myself, and I'm like, that individual, forget about giving out, giving charity and stuff like that, because I wouldn't go deep into what they do, what they don't do, secretly, but in terms of if they do give, what's it called, charity, because I'm not in the position to say something that I really wouldn't know. I don't follow them every single day. So that's in all honesty. But I know that they were not giving charity in their speech. They were not giving charity in their intentions. They were just a very wicked individual. And, here you have somebody else whom, like, I just look at two different types of people, and I'm like, astaghfirullah, I'm like, subhanallah, I have an opportunity to be somebody who is in between. Alhamdulillah, I have an opportunity to see the ayahs of Allah, whereas most people don't even have a clue as to what they are missing out. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the perfect system. God, Rabb, made the perfect system. He made the perfect system. And I cry because I don't know if I'm going to, pass away before I'm able to do any of these good, intentions that I have, that I'm working on. I really don't know, but I can tell you one thing, that every step I take, I think about how much pain and suffering an individual, like, I'm having heart pain right now, and I'm thinking to myself, how much heart pain, how much, physical pain that a person might have had because they could have just had one meal. Like, one meal is what they were deserving, and we are supposed to be humanity. We're supposed to be brothers and sisters to each other. We're supposed to be that. And it's not that some of us are evil. I was not evil. I've always tried to be the best in manner growing up. At least even if terrible things that had occurred to me, or terrible things were done even through me, in terms of not, like, me not doing it, like, intentionally. What I meant to say is I've always tried to be above and beyond kind, but that's not how everybody else has to be. You don't have to be like me or better than me, but you have to be at a standard. I wish for everybody to be better than me in this planet. There are people that are multiply hundreds and thousands of people that are better than me in giving, in mindfulness, since birth. And all I just think to myself is, for everybody else whom is in the normalcy category, like those people whom were in the category of those who turned away, I was also in the category of those who turned away. I was never in the category of disbelievers. But for a portion of my life, even though I was a part of those whom turned away, and I was, at some point, I was blaming God. Like, when I was younger, when I was a teenager, I was blaming God. But the cool part about it was that I was always searching, though, for the truth too. I would always go to different houses of worship, and I would sing. I remember when I was out of the home, I was in the system. That time we were mandated to go to church. Mandatory, we were to go to church for the period of the evaluation that we were in for when we were in the system. And when I was in church, I would never say, Astaghfirullah, Jesus is God, but I would sing a part of the choir that they were making us, like, we're mandated to go. Mandatory means we don't have a choice. We would have to go. It's a part of the curriculum. And I would sing in church, and I would sing for God, for the Lord. And, even though I was at the same time going through this turmoil, thing where I would blame God, like, okay, why isn't things going, perfectly in the world? Why isn't everything perfect? Why doesn't everybody have everything just like everybody else thought? And I went through that too in my teenage days. By the time I was 12 years old, I had finished, the Quran 3 times in Arabic, and the 4th time I went to read around, I would be, I would fully have completed the 3 times in Arabic, and the 4th time around, I was skipping pages just because, the Arabic tutor was teaching me, and that I didn't know what on earth Arabic was. I had not a single clue. And he would go to the bathroom, and I would be so bored because I had no idea what I was reading, and I'd skip the pages. And when I say I'm one of the honest people in the face of this planet, when I tell you that, that I'm so, I'm so naive when I say this, and I'm so naive that I will even believe, a person to be that is the truth. Like, and I would even take after them, like, okay, like, if somebody were to teach me something, back in the days, I would think, okay, that's the right of way. I was just looking for a system. I was looking for the truth. So, people look at other people, and they point at them, and they pick on them, and they're hypocrites because they don't even see that they're completely and entirely flawed too. Completely flawed. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, look at the next person before you, that person might be better than you. So before you point a finger at somebody else, think a billion times, man. You yourself might be completely flawed, and yet you do not know. And in Jahannam, you will be looking around, and even in the state of Jahannam that you are in this dunya as a human being, you'll be looking around, and you'll be wondering why the people that you thought would be in Jahannam, in the state of Jahannam, or going to Jahannam, are not in Jahannam with you. Think about it. That's because you don't have the piety within your heart to wish goodness and, greatness upon every single human being that's on the earth. Everyone is supposed to be feeling the same, but Everybody's not, and that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't make everybody a believer, because it's not in you. Allah will not change a condition of a person until they themselves change their condition that's within themselves. It's upon you to change your own condition. It's upon you to change your own condition. It's upon you to fight your own condition, your own flaws, before you can even go out there and fight with another psyche, another mind, another individual. You have to change yourself first. You have to change yourself first. And you have to make sure that nobody else oppresses you either, because they can't do that. You understand? They can't do that.